another day. I prayed soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. Could be you. I woke up at 5:20 just to start my day to day. On this morning I'm feeling different, damn, feeling some kind of way. I got my coffee, then got my daughter ready, headed out the door. Things seemed a little different, I got a headache, damn, for sure. So I'm off to the babysitter, Miss Mimi is the bomb. As I'm leaving, she was asking, was there something going on?
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? Welcome to another episode of Death Taught Us How to Live. I'm your host, AVM Superhero, and I thank you so much for joining us. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our intro song music, Mr. Dosha. Day Just Another Day. You can find it on YouTube. Our page that we have right now gives you where you can find the actual link if you want to see the whole entire video and hear his story. Please do. Also, I thank everybody that's out there that's listening and watching us on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and as well as hearing us out on replay with Stroke Warrior Radio. So without any further ado, let's get into our episode. I like to talk to all different types of people, and this one is pretty much different from what we have dealt with before. This title is having two types of wars that you actually dealt with in your life. This particular person has been fighting for our country, for our safety in Iraq. He did a tour out there. I'm sure he probably did more than one tour, but he also had another war that he had to deal with as a stroke survivor. So I'm very curious to see him and his story. He's a good friend of mine. So let's not waste any more time. Let's bring to the screen Casey. Casey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am good, sir. Thank you for coming on Death Taught Us How to Live. When you told me your story, I was very shocked, but I also was pleased to know that a person with your stature was able to survive two wars. So without any further ado, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Let's give about 5 or 10 minutes about what happened to you as a stroke survivor, as well as your background in the military and who you are today.
Okay, my name is Casey Ressler. And basically, this is about 6 years ago. And if I go back to the Army, because that's where it actually happened. So we got hit with a truck, and our driver broke his back, and we had to send him in a chopper and all that stuff. Anyways, so they go now to 2020. My head is hurting all the time. It was like getting worse and worse and worse. And it was really weird because it was like every day, every few days, I had to take something and go to sleep, kind of deal. And one day I was working late. I'm a realtor, and I couldn't text. My head is hurting really bad, and I'm trying to talk to my wife, and I couldn't talk. I couldn't test. Sorry. And so I went home. It's not far from my office, and she said, "Well, take a nap or something like that." My dad was like, "No, we got to go now. So there's something off." And so my dad kind of, he was like, "We need to go." And so we went to the hospital, and they ran into the machine. I can't say the word. I'm working on it. But basically, it blew in my brain in the machine. And so that's a good thing, because if you had and this is a hard word for me to say, I had an aneurysm in my brain, and it blew in the machine. So they saw the whole thing. And then they, put me in a chopper to Dallas. And then that was 6 weeks of my life that I didn't know. I was gone for 6 weeks. And that was a weird feeling. I couldn't, so I finally, they wake me up, and you have to understand this was COVID. And so it was already weird, but it was like really bad. And then they told me what happened, and I didn't know I couldn't talk. So my wife had to video me talking like a baby. The only thing I could do was cuss, different place in the brain. Um, but the doctor said I had 4% survival. And a lot of that is because when I started in the machine, I started throwing up, and then I had lung problems, and so that almost got me too. And the only reason why I'm not dead is this is the wildest thing. The doctor said because my platelets in my blood they stick together, so it clots really fast. And he said that was the only reason I'm not dead today. And so pretty crazy. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had some of the similar things. Not that it ruptured on me while I was on the machine, but when I was being operated on, I aspirated and I caught pneumonia.
Yeah.
Uh, so I know what you're talking about with that. So, do you have any major deficits since your aneurysm rupture?
Yeah. But it's gotten a lot better. And a lot of that is because when I did, I did PT for like half a year in the VA. And then I got home and then I started doing PT every day, basically, and speech. And that really helped because when you can't walk, it's very hard, and a lot of people that have strokes understand this. But when I went to the gym, I just went there. And at the time, I was not looking good. I was not happy. I was pretty awful. It was bad. And so I went to the gym and I would just walk. I did that a whole year just walking. And then after that, I started stairs for another year. Now I'm a trainer, which is kind of crazy, but yeah. So I have certain things on the right side. This hand, it's about a 1 second from the other one, so like it just feels like that. But I don't use that as a crutch, I guess.
So, okay, you're giving me a lot of stuff here,
Yeah.
and no. I'm absorbing it, and I'm appreciative. So, it seems like you have what's called aphasia as well. Have you ever recognized that or no?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because like we couldn't figure out the problem was because and we found it was the vowels for some reason.
Okay.
And we figured that out. But it took 2 years to really talk again.
Really?
Yeah, that was I think God wanted me to shut up. Because
Really?
man, I'm a talker. I like to talk. I'm a realtor. I talk to people all day.
Yeah.
And but it changed my whole life. And I mean it in a good way and a bad way, of course. But yeah, I had to hear everybody, hear people. Because I was
So,
talking all the time. Yeah.
so you say you are married. Do you have any children? And how long ago was this happening to you?
It's been 6 years ago.
Hmm.
I have 3 kids.
Hmm.
Yep.
And you're
So it's
married.
been oh yes.
Okay.
We've been
So,
18 years.
how did this affect your being a father?
Oh man. When it happened, I told my wife, I hope they just kill me now, because I couldn't talk or couldn't walk at that time. And can you be the dad with this problem, right? And of course, I was mad about it for a while. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the best I can to be able to do everything again. I just and a lot of that is kind of the army and things that happened. And so I've always been like to push things. I like to do things hard. I like hard things. Um, but it was very scary for the kids because they saw me. You know what I'm saying? They could see me in a wheel chair and all that kind of stuff, and it's hard to watch your kids can see that. You know what I'm saying? It just I did not like that at all.
I asked that because, I went through the same thing trying to be a father, or, I went to one therapist, and it was crazy because I was going through my divorce as well. And I said, I just want to be a father again. And the
Yeah.
therapist said to me, "You always be a father." I'm like, okay, I don't think you understand what I'm talking about. It's like,
Hmm.
just last week, I couldn't even wipe my butt. And now you want me to be able to make decisions for two preteen age daughters. Like, I don't understand how to do that. And I'm trying to cope with that. So I'm very curious, how did you deal with being a father at those, how old were your children?
So numbers are fun.
You said
I
number one.
Yeah, it is. It's still that's one thing I'm still working on. So my son is uh I'm gonna do numbers.
Okay.
Okay. He's almost 18. My daughter is 14, and the baby is 12. And I
So
could be
this is
wrong about that because I always get them wrong.
no. It's cool. It's cool. But you're leading into my point.
Yeah.
You have teenage, pre-teenage, and also younger children, and
Yeah.
what's going on right now is that before you was a military man, so I guess you had a pretty rigid a routine going on in your household, and now all of a sudden everything is going upside down, and you don't know how to handle that.
Yeah, no, 100%. It was so weird because I was gone for like half a year because of COVID. So nobody could see me or anything. And sometimes they would tell you to go home and then you go back again um, because of COVID. And so it was really weird time. I was probably mad at that time, the whole time, maybe. Um, I knew I was gonna walk again and all that stuff, but you're just mad about it. Like, why did this happen to me, right? And so, yeah, it was really hard. It was really to see the kids see me. That
Right.
was probably the worst thing right there. Yeah,
Yes, I completely understand that part. That was the hardest part, pill that I
mm,
needed to swallow. I didn't want my children to see me in that way, but I also wanted to make sure that I was still in my children's lives. So it was very weird how
yeah,
those two emotions were going together.
hmm,
Um, so let's jump back a little bit. You said
okay,
you was in the military
yeah,
and you was in Iraq, so you was in a
yes,
war.
sir.
Um, which one was harder, being in a war in the military or being in a war with your body after a
Okay,
stroke?
I'll tell you the whole, not the whole story, but pieces of it. So I went to Iraq two times, '05 and '08, and I didn't have kids at that point. I didn't have kids. I was out of the army at that point. But my wife, we got together in the other on the other '08, and so it was different because I didn't care because like you go to war, it's kind of like what happens, whatever, right? But this time was a little different because I have a wife. I'm waiting on to see her again. Um, what was the question? I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I do that sometimes too. I was asking you which one was harder, the
Oh,
military war or the war that you had to go through as a stroke survivor?
100% the stroke. 100%. Not even close. Because like when you're in the war, you got a lot of times where it's close kind of deal, like something blew up. I got an RPG hit my truck, stuff like that. But like having to walk again, talk again, all those things, and being older at that point, it's a whole different deal. Way harder.
Yeah, I try to explain it to people that is like being in jail and you can't find the key to
There you
get
go.
out because your body is locked up in a certain way that you cannot figure out.
Right.
You might be able to walk, you might even be able to talk, but there are certain things that you can't do. Like you said, you vomited on the operation table, so you had lung problems.
Oh yeah.
So most likely you was what's called aspirating. You was
Oh yeah.
putting fluids inside of your lungs. And how do you? There is a I can't remember the
Let me
name.
see if I can say it. Hold on, I've got it right here
Okay,
because
go ahead.
I have mobile. I can find it.
Please
It's
do.
called ARDS. ARDS is what it's called. ARDS.
Arts.
Yes.
Okay,
It's
so
basically so you're a adult and I've go up and then it goes back to in your lungs and so they cut into my lungs and pulled stuff out. I mean it was a bad deal. um i, I mean they had that open in and pulling into there pulling they found Iraq where he was where they were burning everything, and so they found this black stuff coming of my lungs and stuff. It was no, it was bad. This is my wife told me I wasn't there, of course.
well, that's what I mean. Like, I'm not talking about that war part, but the arcs. Let's get back to that.
Hmm.
There is an actual valve that opens up and close when you breathe in versus when you're eating, because everything's going through this pipe, the esophagus, and it's going down. So
Right.
there's a valve that once sometimes when you have a stroke, it stops. So if you
Mm.
drink water, the water will not go to your stomach, it will go into your lungs because that valve is now properly working. So this is
Right.
what I'm talking about here. The same thing Casey had to go through. I don't know how to work that valve. It's automatically done through your brain. So this is what I'm talking about being in jail. We
Yeah.
are doing things that we think we can have control of, but we don't have control of some of the mechanisms inside of our bodies. And that's what
Hmm.
happens when you have a stroke. And I think this is what Casey's talking about. It's harder than being in the physical war because, like he said, there was some lull times. You know what's going to happen. You know when you're going to do this, that. But when you have a stroke, you don't know anything, and you're
Yeah.
learning all this stuff all over again. Just imagine, how old were you when this happened to you, Casey?
That would be eight. No, it was 3-8. There
So
you go.
when Casey was 38, just imagine a man, 38-year-old man, coming home. He went to the war. He's a man's man, doing everything, and then all of a sudden he has to learn how to walk again. That's very difficult
No,
to
it's
even think about.
that's the
That's the thing that
hardest
we don't think
thing.
about.
Yeah, you don't. Nobody understood. I talk about strokes a lot because I have a lot
Right.
of friends that have strokes, and so I always try to talk to them because nobody knows what it feels like until you have one. Um, yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, just saying it's just so weird because I was having a stroke before it happened. That's why I
Right.
couldn't text. So my brain was already. It was starting to get blood in the moving, and then I didn't know what's happening, and then I wake up. It's 6 months, 6 weeks, and you wake up and it's COVID. The whole thing. It's all crazy. Everybody's wearing masks, and
Oh
I'm going,
man.
"What is happening?" And at the time, you see this scar. It goes all the way down
All right.
to here, and so they had took that out, and so my brain was like right there.
So you had a
Which,
craniotomy.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I had
You had
a
a trach.
trach. Yeah. I think they told me I pulled it out one time.
You're really closer to me than you think, because I used to pull out my feeding tube as well.
Oh,
I pulled it out 2 times. They had to handcuff me to the bed because I was.
same. When I wake up and they got me, I can't move, and I'm going, what is happening? It was really scary.
Yeah, because I was cussing them out and say, hey, when my mom comes here, she's gonna cuss you guys out, beat you up because you handcuff our baby to the bed. And they was
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, my mom, she's like, we have to keep you here, Greg, like this. I'm like, you guys suck.
Yeah.
But hey, we got some comments or question from the gallery, so let's get to them. Question or comment, please come up on the screen. We have Donna Duckley. I might not. I'm not sure what she's trying to say with that, but maybe she'll give us another information on that. But yeah, if you guys are out there in Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and you want to put your information on there or ask us questions, feel free to, and we'll read them on the screen. So Casey, I'm getting the feeling of what happened to you because it sounds very similar to my story. What are you doing now? Like, I see that you said you're in real estate, you're doing whatever you need to do, but you said something else that you working out and you actually train
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah.
Like,
So
what are you doing now with your life?
okay. I do realtor or soon. I'm just still doing that, of course. So I went to a place and it's a fun word to say again. UHP. It's for vets. And so I went there. It was 19 days to be a trainer. I just got back from it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I have nothing bad about that place. I love it. It helped me a lot. And so one thing, when I went there, I can't write. Okay, it's one of the problems I still have. I can do it, but it's very slow. And so, like, we have to write things down all the time to do this. And that was very hard to do because I didn't know I could make it or not, you know? And being a trainer with problems is, different. But I just don't want to be broken. I don't want to be broken. And so I'm going to do anything I can possibly do to show that something like that happened to me with the brain and stuff, you can do things you didn't think you could do. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. Casey, can you do me a favor because you're coming off screen a little bit, just somewhere or another? Can you shift a look? There you go. You're good. I completely understand what you mean. You know, I started off this show with that same type of premise. It was kind of selfish of me, but it was a way for me to feel active. I wanted to make sure that I get people's story out there, but I also know that I'm great at conversations. So I did this to help out people get their story out there, but also feel like I'm part of society, that I'm still viable as a man.
Yeah, I get that.
We have some questions or comments that's coming in from Instagram, so give me a second so I could
Okay.
pull them in. We have Melinda here. She's saying, "What gave you hope during this experience or after this experience?"
Um, Jesus. Yeah, because I was kind of a Christian-ish kind of thing. When this happened, I got it real fast. Because you can't have no faith with this kind of things happening. And so a lot of that was praying, a lot of praying, because he couldn't talk. Why not?
You said you got that real fast. It came to you real fast. And let me see if Melinda has anything in response to that.
Okay.
No, she hasn't, but I completely get that. But I think people don't understand what you mean by that. So I want you to go a little bit further.
Okay.
I know for me, as a stroke survivor, AVM survivor, I see things differently in life and it's much more clear.
Mhm.
When this happened to me, I was kind of upset that I survived. And I'll explain what I mean by that. I was mad that I had to go back and deal with people that didn't take accountability, that was not emotionally intelligent, and they wasted their lives. And that put me apart from a lot of things, a lot of people. So when you said you instantly got it, that you knew that Jesus was what was keeping you together and what was your motivation or your inspiration, can you dive a little bit deeper into when you came to that realization and what clicked
Well,
inside you?
okay, it took more time than you think. It was probably a year or so, and I just I kept going through the same thing. Like, how did this happen to me? Right? I didn't ask for this or whatever, but I kept hearing the same thing. Is like, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna fix this. I kept hearing it. And so I was like, what is that? Like, what? I don't know what that means. But like, now I know, because now I can do the things I want to do now, because I think because Jesus helped me.
Okay, I'm with you on that, man. See, we start talking about God. We got some questions in the comments. I have one on Instagram, and I also have one coming in from YouTube, I believe. So let's do the YouTube one first. Producer, bring it up on the screen. This is Don again. I never had a stroke, but I do understand. I was, I was with, I guess, my mother's caregiver. I was my mother's caregiver, and I saw that it was not easy for her. She kept trying to walk and talk again. For you, things will get better.
I couldn't say it better than that.
Okay. And Donna again says, how did the stroke affect your family then and now?
Oh yeah, that was hard, because my wife had to, care. She had to do everything for me at that point. And for some reason, we thought we could fix our house, so we were doing that at the same time, which is not. Don't ever do that. I'm telling you right now. But yeah, it was really hard for her, because she basically watched me die, and then I came back, and it's not the same guy, you know. Because when something like this happens, everything changes that day, and it was really sad to watch the kids the most, because I mean, I was this guy that was, doing well, things are great, no problems really, and then boom, it happens, and like, I got to watch birthdays, all kinds of stuff in the hospital, and that really bothered me the most. And I think my wife the most, because I mean, she had to do everything. I'm one of those guys where I just kind of do most, like all the bank stuff, all that kind of stuff. She had to do everything at that time. And so, it was hard for me to let anything go, because I couldn't do everything anymore. And so that was hard for her.
What about the children?
You know, yeah, I mean, they didn't show it as much. I mean, I could tell, but like, they were just being kids, right? And so we tried to be as really cool about things, and just, just roll with the punches. Um, but it was sad for them, because I was gone for, half a year, and I lost a lot of time.
I get what you mean. I felt like I robbed my children of their childhood, that they had to grow
Mm.
up faster. Did you feel that same exact way?
No, my wife was really in the middle of it, and we have a lot of family here, so like our whole family is here, and so like it really helped, because they could go to other people's houses and stuff like that. So it did help, because there's so many people in my family.
All right. Let's see what we have some information from Instagram. So I'm going back to Instagram. I have Melinda again. Says it takes time, but you get it eventually.
Yeah, I mean that tracks, especially now, because I've been talking about this. I made it a very a thing I wanted to talk about this. It's not because I love talking about it. It's not really, but people need to know what happens with this, with a stroke or an injury in the brain. And so I want to be the person that can talk about it and be, open about it.
I get that. She also has one more comment that we will read out. Melinda's saying, "Life without God is life without the one who created us out of love. He knows us better than we know ourselves."
That's right. That's it. I love that.
I do too. Let me ask you something. I'm not a religious person, but I felt like when this happened to me, I spoke with God because I asked Him to give me another chance to live. So I feel like my relationship with God is completely different than most other people might even have. Do you feel that same type of way, or do you feel like it's
I mean,
not that deep?
I can't feel what other people feel, and so
Mhm.
I can't, I don't know. Um, but there was a presence when I was asleep because I heard stuff like you'd hear people talking to you, or like my mom was singing to me. When I was a kid, I had problems with my asthma, my lungs, and we had the machines back then were really loud, and so she would sing to me. She was doing that one time, and I heard it. And sometimes you'd hear people talking around you, and then the drugs would hit, and you're gone. Weird time.
Yeah, that was the craziest time too, because I know I was hallucinating, and it's wild because when you hallucinate, I don't know, were you hallucinating as well?
No, I think it was the drugs mostly because they were I was in a coma. So like
Okay, so yeah, you was in a coma, so you wasn't hallucinating, but you was having hearing things that was
I
going
could
on
hear
around your
people
body.
talking around me. That was
I
the
get that.
weirdest thing because I would hear things, but I would hear pieces of something.
I get
And they're
that.
talking to the doctors, and but I remember my mom singing to me, and it kind of broke me. I was like, is this real? You know?
We got some more people from Instagram wanted to say some things, so let me go read it for you.
Okay.
Um, I think this name is Ohel O'Neely. Thank you for sharing. I am at the beginning of my journey. I so appreciate you sharing.
No problem. That's what I do. Is try to
That's the whole goal. Like, it baffles me sometimes, and I get it, but I don't get it. Nobody wants to have a stroke and
no,
explain it to other people. We don't
no,
do this for glory or for gratification and saying that, yeah,
mm,
we're talking about stroke. We're doing this because there's people out there that are completely lost. We was there
yep,
and nobody knew what we was talking about. We had family
yep,
members that loved us. They wanted to be around us, but they didn't understand what we was going through. So
yep,
that's why we speak.
yep.
Am I
That's
right, Casey?
exactly right. That's right. Because when people have strokes, nobody know what it feels like. They don't know. They don't get it. They don't. I mean, my dad, it took him for a long time to understand the problems that I have. I still have problems with certain things, and so I want to tell them what happened to me, so they can feel better about it because we're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to get better. We're trying to keep moving, and that's the thing.
Casey, let me ask you something. What advice would you give to someone like that that's just had a stroke this year or last year and feeling completely lost? What is one thing that you would tell them that they need to do right now to help out with their recovery?
Okay. I got a few things. One is go to PT. Do not, you have to do it. I don't care how have to do it. How you have it. If you get money, whatever, do it. Because that is the big thing to get better is PT. The other thing is you have to make them into your mind that I want to get better. Because I've seen people where they kind of want to get better, but they don't. Maybe they're older or whatever, but like you have to make a deal with yourself. I just talked about this yesterday, and I was saying I had to tell to myself that I'm gonna do the best I can to be able to walk again, right? And so, my biggest thing is start moving your body. It doesn't matter what you can't do, just do something. If you can't walk, figure a way to move your body some way.
Casey, what about mentally? What would you suggest someone to do mentally? Like you said, you have to go work out, you have to go to PT, but mentally, there's a lot of times we have these blocks.
Mhm.
Mentally, what would you tell somebody if they have a before we even answer that, we have a question or a comment. So let's go to that and then I'll ask that question.
Okay.
Donna has you being so open is helping us to understand more about stroke. Very informative, and we all are learning and appreciating your openness. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the question I have is, mentally, you know,
Mhm.
you're saying the right words right now. Go to PT, go to PT. But some people, like you said, don't want to do it. They just giving up. What is some of the exercises that you did to make sure that you didn't give up? I know you said Jesus was there in your inspiration, but I know there was dark days that you might have said, you know what, this is too
That,
much. What is that thing that made you push it forward?
well, I mean, I think me going to the army really changed me a lot because you had to do hard things. And then I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So I was about to go to basic, and I called my mom, and she said, "Your dad is not gonna. It says I'm not gonna make it," is what she said. I'm sorry, Dad, but it's funny. And so I was like, "Are you serious? You're telling that to me right now? I'm about to start." And so I was like, "I don't care. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to show him that I can do it." And I've kept that in my brain the whole time. Like when I got up and I can't walk, I got to keep moving. I got to start doing something because it's not going to get better if you're just mad about it. You can't change that. You got to start moving your body. And so I'm one of those kind of person where like if you tell me I can't do it, I will do it.
I get that. I completely get that. One thing that I would add to that, when I was going through my first couple of years, I used to smoke cigars. I used to be very bad with that. My daughter took me to me one time and said, "Dad, can you stop smoking?" I couldn't do it because she wanted me to do it for her, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I had to figure it out. I figured out what it was, and then I stopped smoking cold turkey. But the one thing that I learned that I needed is what we've been tickling around with this whole conversation, Casey, is other people that understood what a stroke was.
Mhm.
Once I opened up to people that had strokes, it made it easier for me to understand what it was because, and please pardon my French, I couldn't hide around my bullshit anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I know that one.
And it's real. It's like because we
It
talk to other
is.
people, we can hide around our BS. But when we deal with somebody that has a stroke, and we say, "Well, it really sucks. It's hard for me to walk." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I was there." And
Yep.
then the person can't complain anymore about it because they see the other person doing it. And once you
Yeah.
see somebody else doing it, then you could go from there. Casey, can you and please tell me if you can't? But for me, I could walk in a room and I could see everybody that had a stroke. Are you able to see somebody that had a stroke and instantly have a conversation with them and feel like you're like as a brotherhood or a fraternity or sorority type of thing?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, sometimes you can't tell if it was stroke or something else. But if what happens now in Paris, Texas, where I live, if somebody has a stroke, somebody tells me, and I go and find them. I go and talk to them. There was a doctor I talked to. He was in the hospital that right there. He could talk, but he was not feeling good about what is happening. And so I try to talk to anybody that had a stroke and try to help them a little bit, because nobody was, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And that's my whole thing is I've been talking about a year, maybe longer, on TikTok and everything else because I do 1 minute just talking about strokes, life, whatever. because I want to help those people because it's so it's like nobody understands it, you know. And we've said that a bunch of times, but yeah, I think a lot of that is um, one is you have to want it. That's the other thing, right? Because if you're just done, I ain't doing anything, I'm done, then I mean that's what you get, you know.
Then you're done.
Yeah,
Hey,
I've seen
we
it.
got me too. I have seen a lot of people just give up, and they have it in them to actually go on, but they just mentally have checked out. Okay, we have some people from TikTok and also Instagram giving us some information. We have Coco Red on TikTok. She's saying that so true what we are saying. She's a 3 year stroke survivor. So hello, Coco Red. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank
And
you.
back on Instagram. Now, it's kind of funny, and I'm not really saying it's funny, but it's interesting. What we're talking about right now, finding people that help you get further. And I don't know if this person knows this, but this young lady here, her name is Melinda. She's been giving us comments back and forth, but she was one of the people when I first started getting out my show. She's the one of the people that helped me out, and the way that she did that, she had an AVM just like I have an AVM. But I saw a video that she had created, and she was jumping up and down, hopping up and down in the park. I'm like, what the hell? How are you doing this? And that moved me to say, you know what, I gotta get off of myself and start living my life and stop complaining about life is terrible. I was going through a divorce. Everything was going completely terrible. My house was taken from me. My car was taken from me. But I saw her hopping around. I'm like, I need to go hop around too
Yep.
and live my life. But I
Hmm.
speak on that because she has a lot of comments on here. So I'm going to read her comments. So
Okay.
let's talk about it. Melinda is talking walking with help if needed. Get outside and get fresh air. Avoid crowded, overstimulation spaces if you have to, but get out. And then she has another one saying, yes, community, like minded people.
I mean, I like to just talk to people, and like I don't care if they're had a stroke or anything. Like I just like people. I like to talk to people, and you know, I just like showing people that you can do it. I think that's the key from having a stroke and how to come back from it. Because a lot of people that's their thing now. You know, I had a stroke, and that's all I do is stroke stuff.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that to my remembrance right now. I don't want to be labeled as I'm a stroke survivor. Like, if you're going to have a eulogy of me, I don't want you to be like, well, he had a stroke. I'm like, yeah,
Right.
okay, cool. But it's a lot more things that I'm doing with my life. So when you introduce me to people that you know, please don't say, "Hey, this is my friend. That I know that I was telling you about him. He had a stroke." Like that doesn't define who I actually am.
No.
So don't let that narrative and don't let your friends, your family, whoever speak of you and just put you on that level of just a stroke survivor. You are much more than that. You are a person.
Right.
You're a human being, and live your life according to what you want to live your life to.
Right. Yep. And I think a lot of people they just that's their label. I don't want that. I don't want to be I'm broken or whatever. I'm gonna do anything I want to do. I mean, I'm doing a high rocks in Dallas this year. You know, that's like a really hard workout thing. But like, I don't like. I can't. No, I don't hear that. I can't hear it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Instagram is going crazy. We're being flooded with Instagram comments, so I'm just going back and forth. And we have Melinda is coming back again. She says, read John 5:6-9. And she's also saying, yes, no labels. And she's emphasizing that with exclamation points.
That's right. Because I just don't want to be a broken person, right? So I'm gonna show you that I can do it. I'm a trainer. I'm training people already.
All right.
Okay.
Right.
I don't hate labels like you can't or whatever. Don't tell me that. I don't hear it. Now, I know there are places and people that are really having bad times. I get that. I'm not some kind of crazy person. I'm just that guy. I just want to be that guy. I want to show that I can do it. And I hope that gets to people in not a bad way, because I know what it feels like. I know when you can't do anything, you can't walk. It's awful. But the only thing that gets better is trying to do it, and you have to bid into your brain that I'm gonna do it.
I'm with you 135% on that. I I have learned through this journey that we have been put on that complaining is not going to help you out. You just got to go and do it. You got to keep on plugging away. What I always tell people is this: be kind to the body that you have now, because that's what's going to get you to the place that you want to get to in the future, or that past body that you was before. But if you keep on saying this is not me, this is not me, you keep on degrading the body that you're in right now, how
Mhm.
can you get stronger? Because you keep on speaking negative of what you are. Everything right now,
Oh, I just did a video about this, and I was like,
speak on it.
you can't talk to yourself like this. You can't, because I can't say the words, but basically your brain will tell you the same thing. It will do the same thing over and over and over and over. And then you go one day, you go, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And then something happens, and then things moving. And so you're talking to yourself like that is not gonna help you ever. You have to be nice to yourself, because when I was I mean, it was probably 20, almost 40 years or whatever, that I didn't know you're not supposed to talk to yourself like that. I didn't know that. Maybe because I'm infantry. I don't know. But like, I was like, oh, you're not supposed to just talk crap to yourself. I've been doing that my whole life. And then, you start digging into yourself, and it's like, man, that is a bad deal for you.
Yeah, you can't speak negative to yourself.
No, you cannot.
Like it's wild because if you speak bad to other people and you put down other people, you know it affects them. So what do you think it's
Of
doing
course.
to you? Like
Hmm.
when you do it to yourself, I don't understand why people don't make that correlation. We have Melinda again. She's saying that after her stroke, she had went and got her bachelor's and also her master's. So it's not
Wow.
impossible to live your life. You just got to dedicate yourself and go further. And she has a set of twins. She got married. There's a
Wow.
lot of things that she have done with her life post stroke, but she had
That's
her twins
awesome.
before stroke. But life doesn't stop. You have to
Mhm.
keep on going with the mentality. Her faith is very strong. Matter of fact, I think her page is just completely dedicated to her faith, and
Yeah.
she's a very interesting woman because she doesn't really tote on the stroke survivor, the AVM stuff. She basically talks about her life, her children, her husband, and her faith, and how strong it is to make her get to where she is now. And that's how we have to keep on speaking positivity to ourselves. Because we
Yes.
speaking negativity to ourselves, it's gonna be a negative outcome. And stop
Every
complaining.
time.
Boy,
Every time.
every time. Well, Casey, we are at the point of our show is what's called our hot seat questions. And
Okay.
what I would do, before we get to our hot seat questions, we got some more people who want to say something. I guess they knew hot seat questions was coming up. So, producer, can you bring up the comment on the screen? We have Chris on here say, "Hey, Greg, I heard you say you lost a lot of your belongings. Can you please talk a little bit about how you overcame those issues?" Oh man, you put me on the hot seat. I thought it was going to be Casey, but you
Yeah,
put
there
me
you
on the
go.
hot seat. Well, Chris, what happened with me is that I and my daughters and I we have created a course called Perception versus Reality. You can find that on avmsuperhero.com, and we speak about that itself. But what I had this situation. before I started doing Deaf Taught Us How to Live and all that stuff, I had my stroke, AVM rupture. I left my home, and then I put a post on Facebook of my car being repossessed. And when I did that, I had a lady, a very attractive woman too. On top of that, from my hometown in New York, I never met her a day in my life, but she went to the same high school with me, a little bit younger than I did. And she said to me, "Congratulations." And I'm like, "Who the hell is this person saying congratulations to me?"
Yeah.
But it was the most profound thing, and she's one of my closest friends to this day. But by her saying that, she said, "You know what? You have lost everything, and you probably was complaining about how life sucks. Now you have a chance to start from scratch.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?"
Right.
I said, "Okay, let's go." And since then, I have lived in Atlanta, New York, Jamaica, and now I live in Panama.
Wow.
And I just had to let things go. And once I let things go, my God was like, "Psh, I got you." I'm like, okay. And it's weird. Like, Casey, can you speak on that? Before, I was a person that I wanted to do things. I had to get things done. It has to be this way. I had to plan it all out. And now I'm like, yeah, I plan it out. And if it's really tough or I'm getting a lot of friction or resistance, I don't do it. I stop.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was the same before.
It's
So it was like
weird.
because I had a good job. I wasn't hurting. Everything was pretty good. And
Yeah.
this happens, and then everything changed that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. It's truly amazing. That right now I don't worry about those situations like, okay, I don't have a car. Okay. I live out of my suitcase. I move places to places and I'm completely fine with that. Matter of fact, I'm more happy than I ever been in my whole entire life. I used to make six figures before people was really making six figures. I was like 25, 26 years old making six figures. It was fine. But now I'm like, I don't even care because that part of my life is over. I see much more things in my life. I have touched people all over the world without even trying to leave my house through social media. So I find what my calling is, and that's what everybody's looking for, to find what their calling is and live their life to the fullest, whatever God has put in front of them, and not
Yep.
fighting what God has put in front of them. Right?
Oh yeah. I mean, you're right there because you let go, everything gets better. If you just let go, if you stop trying to fix everything and just see what's happening and just start doing something.
My best response is, "Hey, what are you going to do the next 5 years?" I don't know. I don't have a clue. I didn't even know that I was going to have a stroke. Like that day that I had a stroke by avian rupture, I didn't know it was going to happen, and I
Right.
got through it. And Casey, I'm rambling on, but Casey, when
Oh,
I
you're
had my
good.
AVM rupture, I was in the middle of Kentucky, a very remote part of Kentucky. I live in Atlanta,
Hmm.
and when I had this happen to me, they took me to Louisville. They flew me to Louisville, and the surgeon was one of the best surgeons in the southeast. And a week later, he was going on vacation. So I ain't playing none of this stuff. It was all set up for me. It was there. I was like, okay, cool. I can't fight it anymore. So once you stop fighting, things get easier. Let's get to our hot seat questions because we're
Okay.
gonna be talking forever. And Coco is saying, yes, I'm with you on that. All right. That's Coco Red, everybody from TikTok world. So if you're not watching or following her, check her out, Coco Red on TikTok. Another stroke survivor. She's one of our cool people in our community. Hot seat questions time. Question number one. And when you're finished with the question, just say, AVM Super, I'm ready for my next question. I'll bring the second one up on the screen. Are you ready, Casey?
Okay.
All right. Question number one. If you could tell day one you anything, what would it be?
Um, I think just okay. As the question is, okay. One, don't be mad because when you wake up and you can't talk or walk, you're gonna get mad for a minute, but then you have to ma- make it in your mind that I've got to do something to keep this going. I have to do something or else it gets worse. And so I think that is the best thing you can do. It just if something happens like this to you, you have to remember that hey, this is going to be hard, very very hard, but you can come back from it because I've done it.
Thank you for that. I also tell people that yes, you could come back from this. Your body might not be the same exact way,
Right.
but your mind is going to be completely changed, and it all depends on how you look at it. If you think of negatively, it's going to be changed in a negative way. If you think of it positively, it's going to be in a positive way, and your life will be so much better. Trust me.
Yes.
Question number two:
Okay.
what single thought kept you moving forward when progress stopped?
I didn't really had a lot of that. I knew it's going to take a lot of time to be able to walk again and talk, especially this talking was the hardest thing for me. Um, I would get mad sometimes, but nobody can, I couldn't say anything. And so and I had to just kind of figure it out myself. So I had to into myself, into my brain, and just make a deal with myself again that I have to walk and talk at the same time. I kept that in my brain the whole time. Like I've got to do this. Now it wasn't easy. It wasn't pretty. I mean, there was a lot of real pain. Some real pain and a lot of crying and going stuff like that because this is the first time I've had to do this, and so it was very hard. I'm being real about it. It was hard. It was very hard, and there was a lot of times where I'd flip from one day to the next one, and then I would come back and kind of like I got to stop thinking like that, and I kept going back to the same thing. I got to stop talking like that. I've got to do something.
Okay, let's go to our third question. What do people constantly get wrong about survivors?
Um the weirdest thing when I couldn't talk. That was the weirdest thing because my friends could see me, but they didn't know what to do with their hands. They're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm not mad about that, of course. I understand it. But when you can't talk and people and can see you, that is a weird feeling because you're like, I'm here, I'm still here, but they don't know what to do. Um, that was a real that one bothered me a lot. I wasn't mad about it, but it was just like, man, I'm here. The same guy is in there. I promise. And so that was probably the hardest thing for me is not be able to talk very good at all, and people just look at you like I don't know what to say. Right. And so that probably bothers me the most. Um, but again, you can't make it I don't want it to be like I'm trying to say this in a certain way, but it's one of those things that you have to, I could tell that they saw that I couldn't talk and they didn't know what to do. But that helped me more because I now want to talk, right? So I want to talk to you, right? Not a bad thing or anything like that, but like I wanted to talk. And it's a very weird problem, and especially with aphasia because it's so weird. Um, And so like people they're like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do with my hands. And that's really what I think. But then when you moving, start moving into the next thing, trying to talk, walk, all those things, then it gets better and people are like, oh, you're back. So that was this kind of a weird feeling.
I get that. And I appreciate you saying that you're back. I think a lot of people don't understand that you actually, I was never gone. It's just I didn't know how to communicate with you. And I'm glad that you had patience with me. And that is more beneficial than
Exactly.
anything else. All right.
Yes.
Casey, this is our last question. And
Okay.
what I usually do is have my guests close out the show. So after this fourth question, I'm not coming back on anymore. I want you to close out the show after you
Okay.
respond. So everybody, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate you guys in TikTok world, in Instagram world, YouTube world, Twitch world, Facebook world, and also Stroke Warrior Radio world. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. Check us out next week. We will be having another guest. And trust me, each and every week we try to do our best to give you great, fulfilling stories to make sure that you understand that death should not be your ultimate goal. Life is. So death should teach you how to live.
That's
Take
right.
it from us, learn from us, and please, please be safe and healthy out there. Casey, you ready for your last question?
Yes.
Let's do it. Which battle was harder? The battlefield that you had a war with? I know you answered this already, but the hospital bed. Which one was harder?
That one. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life. Trying to come back from this. It is very, very hard. I'm not gonna. I mean, it's just hard, and but you have to make your mind that I want to do the best I can. I want to be able to walk again. I didn't know I can run now. I run all the time. Because I just wanted to show that I'm not broken. I'm not broken. I'm a human, and I'm doing the best I can. And I love to talk about it to anybody. Of course, you can find me on TikTok, Insta, my name. You can find it. But anyways, yeah, I love talking about it because it's very weird, especially when you had a stroke and nobody under gets it. You know, and so it you you can do the best you can. Just try to move. That is the thing, because I've seen people not do it. They just don't want to do it, and it's sad to watch. But you can if you want to. So try to do anything that you want to do. uh Anyways, that's all I have, and God loves you.